Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's conversation on the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. Dusty here, the host of this show, sitting down this week with Latasha James. Latasha is the founder and creative director of James and Park Creative, a social-first video marketing firm serving clients across the globe, as well as the online business launch lab, an education platform for freelancers and creative entrepreneurs. Through her courses, her YouTube channel, which, by the way, has almost 200,000 subscribers, podcast content, Latasha has encouraged thousands of people to start and grow their businesses and YouTube channel, both online and off. Latasha, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me. I'm super
Absolutely.
excited to be here.
Yes, me too. I'm glad we finally worked it out. I had some scheduling conflicts, but you were so kind to work around that. So we are here and we are ready to discuss all things content creation and video marketing and all the good stuff that comes along with that. So if you would, tell me the origin story of your YouTube journey, of how you got started on YouTube, how you founded, the James and Park Creative, and how your story started.
Yeah, I got started back in 2013 on YouTube. I actually started just for fun. I was going to school for film at the time. And so we had to create YouTube channels to upload projects and things like that. So I just kind of like accidentally found the YouTube community and just started uploading videos about my life, or I did a lot of like beauty and makeup content just for fun. I had no idea there was this whole business behind it. But over the years, I realized, I started learning about the YouTube SEO and YouTube funnels and like how all of it worked. And I got really fascinated by it, by that side of it, like the marketing and the business side of it. And I actually got approached for a consulting gig for a kind of YouTube adjacent company pretty quickly into my YouTube journey. It was like 2 years in. They saw a YouTube video I did. They reached out to me and were like, "Hey, we want to tap into this YouTube world. Can you help us figure out how to like find influencers, find creators like you?" And that's really where the business started and where kind of the paths joined. Is like I started the business and then I started making videos about the business, and here we are like many years later, and I'm doing it full time.
What does your role look like as obviously founder and creative director of the James and Park Creative, the kind of social first video marketing service? Like, what do you guys provide, and what does a normal day look like for you?
Every day really is different working in this space, especially coupling that with being, a full-time creator as well. So every day really is different. I usually work with a small number of clients at once. So right now we're actually focusing more on building that authoritative content. So we film a lot of courses for people and help them develop their courses, podcast, like all the things that go along with podcasting, everything from like repurposing the podcast to setting up the podcast to strategizing the podcasts. So it does kind of depend. Some days I might be actually on set at a shoot, filming a client. Other days I might be in a Zoom call with a client, talking through a course curriculum and planning out our shot list and things like that. It really does kind of depend. And then other days I'm in my home studio recording my own podcast, which is marketing collateral for my business. So every day really is different.
That's the beauty of being a content creator and a business owner, is that it is different. I love that about our job, is that when you wake up, you're not sure what you're going to get into, which is, it's nerve-wracking, but it's also exhilarating, and it's kind of, to me, it's motivating of trying to push forward and keep doing what I'm doing in the business. So it's good to hear you say that. Now, the Latasha James YouTube channel, I've watched a few videos over on your channel. I've kind of done a bit of research on what you do over there. You've got a great following over there, over 190,000 subscribers, 700 videos, and you can kind of tell going from your older videos to where you are now, the evolution of kind of where you've been as a creator. So I just want to ask you, as the creator, not as the person who works with creators yet, what is the most difficult thing for you with a YouTube channel, being a creator yourself? What are the things that you struggle with as a creator?
Yeah, I just filmed a video actually about the whole why a lot of YouTubers are quitting YouTube right
Mm,
now. And
mm,
one of the things, for me is I have found that it is a hard business to scale.
mm,
It's hard because people come for you, like they come for what they originally signed up for. So it's hard I can't multiply myself. And there's only a certain limit of videos I can realistically film that are high quality in a
Right.
week. So that's been the challenge for me as, and actually people are sometimes surprised to hear this, but I actually don't love filming videos. I really love editing videos. I love like the marketing side of it. I love the strategy side, but being on camera is kind of exhausting for me. So, I can only do it so many times per week.
Hmm. Now, as far as that, it's interesting that you say that. A lot of people hate the editing, but they love the process of being in the video and kind of producing that video. What are some things that you do to kind of, do you pump yourself up before you get on camera? What are things that you have to do for you specifically that helps you, kind of get in the mood for filming?
I have a whole pre-filming ritual. It's it, I get ready in a certain way. I spend like a long morning getting ready. I always have like a good breakfast to fuel me up. I spend a long time like doing my hair and makeup just so I feel super confident and feel really like zen, I guess. So it's not like this rushed getting ready process.
Mhm.
I also do, this might sound weird, I don't know, maybe not to you, but I kind of talk to myself a little
Mhm.
bit. I sort of rehearse the video as I'm like getting ready, just so I feel I don't use teleprompter or anything like that. So in order to help me just speak really naturally going through it a little bit in my head really helps. I also love being outside, spending time outside, going for a walk, like getting some of that nervous, anxious energy
Mhm.
out before I sit down.
Mhm.
So I do all of that. And then I'm usually not sitting down to actually record until like 1 p.m. Like I usually have a really like long, slow morning routine and then sit down to film at like 1 p.m.
I love that. I do a lot of the same things, believe it or not. I like to go for a walk or clear my
Mhm.
head or, whatever it may be. But some people enjoy being on camera. Some people enjoy that side of it. I'm kind of in the middle. I like all of it. Being on the camera's fine, editing's fine. But like you in the beginning, getting up to get on camera, it certainly took more of a pull from somewhere else in the business or whatever it may be. So, all right,
Yeah.
now that we've talked about that and we've kind of discussed where you are on your kind of the difficulties and some of the things that you struggle with as a creator, walk us through the video process then. Like when you're producing a video, everything from scripting to post-production, and then we'll kind of dive into the marketing side of things and how people can better do that for their channels.
Yeah, yeah. So for me, when it comes to just my typical videos, like I said, I am not scripting them.
Mhm.
So I just do outlines for most of my own videos where I am touching on key bullet points, like a key structure for the video. Also making sure that I call out anything that requires research. If there's a number, if there's a, statistic or something, a quote, making sure that I have that written down in my outline. And I just use Asana as my task management and kind of my overall editorial calendar.
Right.
So that's what I do there. Then we're shooting the video, sitting down. I keep at least for like my Friday video podcasts, the camera's set up. It really doesn't move very much. So
Mhm.
it's pretty easy from that perspective. I can just make sure everything's charged and plugged in and turn it on and get ready to go. Um, yeah, I usually try to batch film at least a couple of videos at once. Again, if I'm taking the time to hype myself up to film and like get in a good place, I want to maximize that energy.
Mhm.
So I usually am filming like between 2 to 3 videos at once if I can. Not always possible, but I try to.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then
I
we're
love
just
batch recording.
yes. It's amazing. I mean, I can get almost a whole month of content,
Mhm.
in a couple of days. So, yeah, so I do that. Then it's just off to editing. I like to leave time. This is something that I've learned over the years. If I pull my footage off of the camera and start editing right away,
Mhm.
I'm really hard on myself for some reason. Like, I don't know if it's just the energy shift from like filming to go into this focused work, if something just there's a disconnect there or what it is. But I'm like, oh my gosh, this footage sucks when I first pull it off. Like, I hate it. I don't like anything. But if I just let it rest, like I pull it off, put it on my hard drive to make sure it's safe, sleep on it. The next day is when I go and start editing. And I feel like I view it with a fresh set of eyes and I'm a little easier on myself. So yeah, that's usually what I do.
That is interesting. I like that tactic actually, because if you do go right
Um,
into it, like you said, you probably are more self-critical because you just got done, and you probably often think, "Ah, I should have done this, or I could have tweaked it." I love that. That's great. I want
Yeah.
to ask you this: what is something you wish you would have known sooner? Now that you're 700 videos into this thing with your YouTube channel, looking back, what would you say, man? If I would have just known that sooner, I could have gotten bigger sooner, or I could have grown my channel or made more money. What would that thing or things be?
Yeah. I would say the thing I wish I knew sooner was to start an email list. Believe it or not, I mean, I've been doing YouTube for 10 years in some capacity. I did not start an email list until probably 2020. So maybe 4 years, 3, 4 years ago. And obviously it's fine. I'm doing well. So no regrets. But just knowing what I know now, that's where I make the majority of my sales for my programs and for my agency. It's just a great connection tool. As we know, email algorithm, it's not really a thing. It doesn't really change like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all these different things we have to keep up with. So yeah, I wish I would have started an email list sooner.
Explain the power of that for a YouTube creator, because you're selling your courses, you're selling your marketing materials, whatever it may be. How did you build that? What are the tools that you use? Explain everything, because a lot of folks are
Yep.
always asking me about an email list and how to do that. And being the marketing guru that you are, I'm sure you've got some pointers to put in there.
Absolutely. So I recommend starting an email list. Any email provider will work. My personal favorite is Flowdesk, just because I really like their automations. You're able to do workflows, which are really cool. So you can send people through automatic sequences. The segmenting is really good, all of that. So I use Flowdesk to actually start the email list itself. And then to attract people to the email list, you want to create what we call a lead magnet, or something that is, essentially just a freebie that people can download or opt into in exchange for their email list. So it's an ebook basically for social media managers, because my biggest course is called the Social Media Management Accelerator. So it leads people down the funnel to that course. So it's a really short ebook that I created in Canva, maybe 12 pages or something, that just gives like, hey, here are the things that you need to know before you get started in this career path. Lots of value though, still. It's not fluff. It's not just like a 5 checklist thing, but I just drop that under all of my videos, especially the ones that are related directly to social media management, of course.
And you just
Leave
say,
that
like,
underneath the video.
you just say there's a free ebook, sign up for the email list, you get a free
Yep.
ebook for this, and here's what, okay, great.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. And just let people know about it. I actually nowadays I am generating, I probably like 5,000 emails a week just from having it under there. And I'm not really talking about it. It's just kind of there. It's always the first link under in the description box, unless I have a sponsor. They then take that valuable real estate. But if it's just a, non-sponsored video, it's always the first one in the description box before the fold. That's really important too, before that show more section.
Mhm.
And it kind of works on autopilot for me. Every once in a while, I'll just call it out. Hey, don't forget, check that out. And you can switch it up to, if it starts to get stale, switch up your lead magnet. But doing that, yeah, that's how I have generated my email list.
And that helps you bring people on board. But then you have to manage that list, right? You have to provide them value and content to stay on that list. Like, what's your cadence of, is it one email a week? Is it twice a month? What are you putting in these emails? And then kind of explain there. And then after that, I want to ask you a question about monetization and how you're making money from your YouTube channel.
Yeah, absolutely. So I send out 2 emails a week, actually, which is a little intense. But I post 2 videos a week. So that's kind of how I have structured it, is each newsletter supports my weekly video.
Hmm.
So once people download the lead magnet, they go into a welcome sequence that shares a little bit about the products that I offer, gives them a little bonus if they want to purchase right away. Once they go through that, then they go into the newsletter list where they get the 2 emails a week. And I just support the videos. So if I'm doing a video on, YouTube monetization strategy, then I'll add some text that really helps, like some key takeaways, bullet points, maybe some additional resources, things like that they can leverage. And then I also use the bottom half of the email to promote something, whether it's, hey, check out, I have a video course. So we're talking about monetization. Maybe you want to learn about video, or maybe I call up my services, just something like that. And then, of course, we'll do like the promotional emails when we're launching a course or something like that. So those will be one-off emails, but for the most part, they're on a twice weekly cadence.
Awesome. Now, explain to us how you make money with your YouTube channel. And then you don't have to tell us exactly how much money you generate, but if you can give us an estimate, just so we can kind of see what the numbers that you're producing might produce for another creator. So break down all of your income baskets and kind of how you're doing it, and then how it kind of relates to YouTube.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm totally comfortable sharing too. I think it's helpful for people. Last year, we did about a little over 500,000 in total revenue. So about 40% of that was online courses. Maybe about 20% of that was sponsorships. And then the rest is divided between like full service done for you work, affiliate links, and those are like the big categories, probably some other little things here and there. But those are, so courses is the biggest piece, sponsorships and services.
And with the courses, how many courses do you have? How are you creating them? And then you're just kind of hanging them as links under the videos. You're also including them in the email list that we talked about earlier. So explain all of that as far as the courses go.
Yeah. So I have quite a few courses, but I actually, 50% of that 40%, so 20% of my total revenue comes from one course, actually. So there is a clear winner there. And that's actually something that I recommend for people is sometimes we think people need all the things and we're like, oh, I'll just make a new thing but really like honing in on your core message, your core audience, and pulling the lever on that is actually usually a better use of your time. So that's something I'm moving forward with this year is like, let's create less noise and just focus on what really, really works. So that course is a cohort-based course. So it's kind of like a hybrid between a course and a coaching program where we're actually live together on Zoom calls and things like that. And so because of that, I'm able to charge a higher price point for it than I could like a template pack, for example. So yeah, that's the majority of where that comes from.
And you work with a lot of creators through the business, through your, what you do as a creative director and founder. So with that, what would you say are some of the biggest mistakes that you see creators making currently right now, that when you get in there and you're kind of getting into the details of their channel and their content, and you say that you kind of see this happening over and over again?
Yeah, that's great. I think that we are not placing enough value on that authoritative content, on that long form authoritative content. There's a lot of video platforms out there nowadays. This wasn't the case when I first started. So my job was really easy. It was like, if I want to make videos, I got pretty much one place to put them. Now there are so many options, which is great, but I think nothing replaces YouTube or something like a YouTube, a podcast, that long form, not just from watch time or monetization standpoint, but the relationship is, you actually build relationships with YouTubers. We all have YouTubers that we've been watching for a decade, and we feel like, this sometimes can be weird, but we feel like, we care about them. We have a relationship with them in some regard. Right. And I think the quick short form content doesn't allow that quite as much. The other great thing is that by investing in a long form strategy, you now have your short form strategy basically figured out too. If you do one weekly podcast, which is really my minimum commitment, I usually do a second video as well, but I do one weekly podcast on video. Well, I'm already getting now 2 placements, YouTube and the podcasting platforms. And then I also usually get 5 shorts minimum out of that I can post on TikTok, Instagram Reels, etc. I also can do a transcript and have newsletter content, blog content. Like, you really get a lot more bang for your buck. So especially for the creators or the business owners who are like, I know we need to invest in content, but I don't have all day. I'm a business owner. I don't have time to record videos every day. That's where I recommend they start, is come up with like a recurring series that you can sit down, do 1 hour a week, and then build all the rest of the stuff off of that.
How about YouTube growth? I love what you just said there about business owners, but if you're just a person wanting to grow your brand as yourself, like you did as Latasha James or me as Dusty Porter, and the podcast and what I'm doing, but as far as growing a YouTube channel and seeing that, snowball, roll down the hill and get bigger and bigger, and the numbers kind of increase. That's what we all want to see, right? We want to see more subscribers, more views. So many people ask me, why aren't I growing? Why do I still only get 5 subscribers every week, or whatever it may be? What are some things that you can say about that, or what do you say to your clients about just growth, just overall growth with your content and your channel?
Well, my golden rule of content is I always like to ask myself before anything I put out, how is this helping people? And I think sometimes, to your point, we think of like personal brands and business brands as very different. Like a business has a very clear purpose. Of course, they're supposed to help, or they're going to have this focus. Whereas maybe a personal brand, we're just documenting our lives. That's what I was doing. I was just documenting my life, sharing things that I liked. But even within that, you can still find a lesson or a tip or a resource or a way that you can kind of serve even in that more personal content.
Right.
It's like when I was in college and I was making makeup videos, well, I was saving people money by telling them what worked and what didn't work so they didn't spend money on products that, weren't good. So like, how can you turn that around and create value in your content, even if you are just documenting a trip or doing that more personal content, and also using your titles to reflect that. So as opposed to a day in my life vlog, right? That's like what does that mean? That could mean a lot of different things. One of my most popular series over the years has been a day in my life as a content creator, or a day in my life as a social media manager. And even then adding a little bit more SEO value even to that. Maybe it's come create content with me, or like create a month's worth of content for me this week, or something like that, like tying in some SEO value to it so that people then know what they're going to get when they're searching for it. Then they build that relationship with you because they like your content, and that's where the growth comes from.
And being someone who is so involved in social media as a social media manager and someone who's an authoritative figure in the space, how can you efficiently, as a YouTube creator, use the other social media outlets out there, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, whatever, LinkedIn? There's a lot of them out there, without getting overwhelmed, without trying to be everywhere, but in the same time you're nowhere because you're trying so many different things. How can you efficiently, what are tips you can give YouTube creators to efficiently use other social outlets to grow their channels?
Yeah. Well, I think you first need to think about that target audience, because there are some audiences that are more likely to be on those other platforms than others. So if you know that if you are targeting other business owners because you do marketing tips for business owners, well, I'm definitely going to tell you should prioritize LinkedIn as a secondary platform, maybe even above TikTok, depending on the industry that you're talking to. So thinking smart, making smart decisions about where you're going so that you aren't like completely burning out. And then I think also it's just about that system, like developing that system. For me, when I'm editing, I'm like cutting the shorts while I'm editing. I use Final Cut, so I just use like the little markers when I find a really good nugget of information that will make a good short. So then all I have to do is like resize it, add captions to it. It's so quick because I am thinking with that short form content in mind while I'm editing, as opposed to trying to scrub through an old video and find good moments. It's like, it's really baked into the process. So that's what I would recommend as well.
Amazing. Latasha, thank you so much. The final question I'm going to ask you today on the episode is, what's next for you? Like, what are you looking to do short term, long term? What are your goals and aspirations for the channel and your content in general?
Yeah, I really am having fun with YouTube again. I think for a couple years, I got really, really business focused, which was great. I think I really set great foundations for the business, but I also feel like I lost a little bit of that creative spark. And I think that is the magic ingredient. I know it might sound a little bit cheesy, but like it is, that's what started this whole thing. So getting back into what you love doing and just having fun with the process. I feel like I got that back a little bit, and I'm just excited to kind of have a little bit more fun, try some new things, and yeah, enjoy the process again.
That is awesome. Latasha, you have had some great tips in this week's episode. I will have all of Latasha's links, channel, her website, if you're looking to possibly work with her or get in touch with her after this interview. All of her links will be in the show notes, as always. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much.